Washington Post editorial board saying Democrats are thumbing their nose at the rule of law, calling it, quote, corrosive to democracy. Conservative commentator Jonathan Turley writing in an op-ed that Democrats are dropping any pretense of protecting democracy over partisanship.
Essentially, this is election denialism of the kind that Democrats have been attacking Donald Trump for doing in the past.
Hello and welcome to the Scum and Villain Report. The rule of law, it's supposed to be the bedrock of our democracy. But what happens when elected officials openly defy it? When court orders become suggestions and election laws are ignored? Welcome to Pennsylvania, ground zero for one of the most blatant challenges to the legal process we've seen in recent elections.
The Supreme Court is declining to rule on a pair of cases related to mail-in ballots in the Commonwealth. The decisions were published Saturday. One case challenged dating requirements on the return envelopes. The other was over ballot curing policies, when voters are notified about errors on their ballots and are allowed to fix the mistakes before the polls close. The court said it was too close to the general election date to risk confusing voters by changing any rules.
If you forget to put your ballot in the secrecy envelope, or you forget to sign the declaration envelope, or you forget to put the date on the declaration envelope, your ballot will not count.
Today, we're diving into the mail-in ballot controversy that has sparked outrage, legal battles, and cries of election interference. Strap in. It's going to be wild.
Weeks before the election, the state Supreme Court ruled mail-in ballots with a missing or incorrect date could not be counted. Election officials in at least 4 counties, Bucks, Philadelphia Center, and Montgomery, openly defying that ruling.
Let's start with the law. Pennsylvania's election rules are clear. If you vote by mail, your ballot must be enclosed in a secrecy envelope, signed and dated. Miss one of these steps, and your vote doesn't count. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But during the 2024 election, mail-in ballots started rolling in with missing or incorrect dates. By law, these ballots were invalid. But some Democratic officials argued otherwise, claiming that voters shouldn't be punished for what they called clerical errors.
Nonpartisan groups led by the Black Political Empowerment Project sued election boards in Allegheny and Philadelphia counties, as well as Secretary of State Al Schmidt. The suit argued that disqualifying ballots violates protections under the Pennsylvania Constitution.
Here's where it gets messy. Nonpartisan groups sued to allow these ballots to count, leading to a whirlwind of court rulings, reversals, and more lawsuits. Eventually, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled the law is the law. Undated or misdated ballots cannot be counted.
The ruling from the state's high court basically means undated or misstated ballots sent into election offices will not count for now. So in a 4-3 ruling, the Supreme Court pushed back on a recent Commonwealth Court's decision requiring the state to count ballots with missing or incorrect dates on the outer envelope.
Now you would think that would settle things, right? Wrong. In a stunning twist, election officials in several Democratic counties, Philadelphia, Montgomery, Bucks, openly defied the court. They counted those ballots anyway.
In Bucks County, the Democrat-led Election Commission Board voted to count 405 ballots with date errors.
Precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it. And there is nothing more important than counting votes.
The blatant flouting of the law sparking outrage.
This wasn't a quiet rebellion. It was a loud, unapologetic challenge to the court, the law, and the rule of precedent. One official even said, "I don't care what the court says. Do something about it." Let that sink in for a moment. Imagine if the roles were reversed, if Republican officials ignored a court ruling during the 2020 election. What would the reaction be? So, what did the Pennsylvania Supreme Court do? They issued a direct order to these counties. Stop counting illegal ballots. Follow the law.
The state Supreme Court has ordered counties not to count disputed ballots in the U.S. Senate race. The order includes mail-in ballots without the correct handwritten date on the return envelope. This comes as the campaigns for Republican Dave McCormick and Democrat Bob Casey get ready for a statewide recount. The Associated Press called the race for McCormick last week, though Casey, who is behind by more than 17,000 votes, has yet to concede. Bucks County Board of Elections Chair Bob Harvey issued a statement saying that the board will comply with the court's orders, and this was the clarity that they were seeking from the court.
This was a rare moment of clarity amidst the chaos. But even as the recount confirmed Republican candidate Dave McCormick's narrow victory, the damage to public trust was already done. Even the Washington Post editorial board, hardly a bastion of conservatism, called this defiance corrosive to democracy. And legal experts are now questioning whether this open flouting of the law constitutes election interference. So what happens now? Should these officials face consequences? Remember that former President Trump, now president-elect, was charged with election interference for far less. Does the same standard apply here? This isn't about Pennsylvania. It's about the future of our elections and whether the rule of law still matters. When one side ignores the courts, what's stopping the other from doing the same? Here's the bottom line. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, this should concern you. Election laws exist for a reason, to protect the integrity of the process. Ignoring them undermines democracy itself. Should these officials be held accountable? Is this election interference, or just partisan politics as usual? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This is about more than one election. It's about whether we, as a nation, can agree on the basic rules of the game. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the stories that matter.